My guest today is Eddie Gilmore, has been CEO of the Irish Chaplaincy since January 2017 and will give us an insight into their social action charity based in Camden. Now, their website is irishchaplaincy.org.uk and there's a link on our homepage at irishradio.org. Eddie, a very good afternoon to you.
Hello, Jerry. Nice to be talking to you.
Same as that. Eddie, our listeners are always particularly interested in those with the Irish roots. I believe you grew up in Coventry of Irish parents. Where did they hail from?
That's right. My dad was from Galway. He came over in 49 and worked on the buildings initially. My mum's from Newry in the north, and she came over in 57. They met at an Irish dance in Coventry, got married. Quite a common story.
Okay. And did you go back, as a child, to Ireland?
We did. We usually went to Newry on family holidays. Not every year. We couldn't afford to go every year, but very fond memories of our holidays in Newry, where I have. I'm probably related to half the town, I think, because my mum was from a big family and her parents were from big families. So yeah, very very fond memories of going over as a child.
Right, now relevant to your current work, you had a long career with a federation of faith-based communities in Canterbury.
That's right, an organisation called LRAS, which is a worldwide organisation that supports people with learning disabilities. I was there for 28 years, wonderful organisation, but I needed a change after that time, and was very fortunate to see the job at the Irish Chaplaincy offered, CEO of the Chaplaincy, and was very lucky to be offered the job, and it's been a great change for me.
Now, most interesting and a bonus was that you actually met your wife through that organisation.
I did indeed. Yeah, many couples have been formed at LRAS. So I came down to Canterbury in '88 to be part of LRAS. My wife, who's Korean, came over in '89, and we're married now for nearly 28 years and 3 children. So a very very happy story. I'm very very blessed, very blessed.
Lovely. Now, keen for a new challenge. As you mentioned, you joined the Irish Chaplaincy, and you find it's an ideal match for your values and background.
Yeah, very much so. I think in LRAS, where I was for 28 years, there's an emphasis on the importance of each person. Each person is unique and of value and has, and we each have something to give and something to receive. And those values are very much the values of the Irish Chaplaincy as well, I think. Certainly bearing in mind some of the people we support, we support people in prison, for example. And, each person is valued, each person is, has something to offer. And in terms of my Irish background as well, it was, it's great to be part of an organisation that's supporting people who are Irish or of Irish descent, and particularly people in need. So the values and ethos of the Irish Chaplaincy very much chime with my own, I think.
Right, now, can you give us a brief history of the Irish Chaplaincy and its scope?
Yeah, the Irish Chaplaincy was founded in 1957, and the Irish Catholic bishops sent 9 priests over to literally walk alongside the many thousands of Irish people that were coming over to England to find work. People like my own parents, they'd literally be walking alongside the guys on the building sites. They're mainly women in the service industries. Reaching out to people who kind of found themselves in a foreign land where they didn't always get a very warm welcome, sadly. And the kind of work of the Chaplaincy changed and evolved over the years. In 1985, again, as an initiative of the Irish Catholic bishops, the Irish Council for Prisoners Overseas was set up in response to concerns about the many Irish who are in prison overseas and the kind of conditions they were facing and the prejudice that they were up against in some cases. And with the majority of those Irish overseas in prison being in England and Wales, there was always an office in London. So that work grew over the years, and it's probably our biggest work at the Irish Chaplaincy now is reaching out to Irish people in prison, and then we do other things as well. We've always had an outreach to travellers in the criminal justice system. We reach out to elderly Irish living on their own in London or living in care homes. And we've recently started a resettlement project for travellers in London prisons to try and help people when they're coming out of prison, because people face a lot of obstacles when they get out of prison.
Indeed. Now, shockingly, your website reveals that Irish men and women are the second largest ethnic group actually in the prison system in England and Wales. Many have mental health and learning difficulties.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And in common with the prison population generally, that there are often literacy issues as well. And sadly, a lot of the travellers that we work with, there are kind of, people aren't great with literacy. So that's one of the many ways in which we'll support people, because it's so, people can be excluded in so many ways from society. You can be excluded as a prisoner, but if you can't, if you have difficulty reading and writing, you're excluded even more.
Right, now, you've already mentioned there about Irish travellers. You recognise that Irish travellers have a unique identity, a culture and history. And in what other ways do you advocate for them?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to know. It's only in recent years that travellers, certainly in the criminal justice system, have been recognised as a distinct, ethnic group, and that's thanks in part to the work of, the campaigning work of the Irish Chaplaincy. Sadly, some people are still afraid to reveal our identity for fear of prejudice. But travellers are very, very proud of their heritage, and there's a kind of, there's a trusting relationship that's been built up with the Irish Chaplaincy over decades. It's a community that can be quite mistrustful of outsiders, but as I say, there is a relationship of trust that's been built up with the Irish Chaplaincy, and so we'll run a lot of traveller events in prisons. For example, we'll bring Irish musicians in to play. But there'll often be a tradition. There'll be a bacon and cabbage meal, which it's absolutely lovely. I mean, I have to say, I didn't really like bacon and cabbage as a child, but I've come to like it through eating it in prison, ironically. And it's lovely. It's lovely to sit down with people and enjoy a bit of music together, share a good meal. The prison in the food in prison isn't that great. So people really enjoy having a special meal now and again. When the team from the Irish Chaplaincy come in, and as I say, just enjoying being together really, as enjoying the music, enjoying the food together.
Right, now your support for senior citizens is far-reaching, helping people get to Mass, reuniting families and being a voice for them with external organisations, for example, health and social care providers. Now, Eddie, before COVID-19, we were aware of loneliness experienced by some of the older generation. It's very much compounded now. What strategies do you have?
Yeah, very much so, because a lot of our work was face-to-face visiting, befriending, advocating for people, going into care homes. So there's been no visiting. We haven't been able to go into prisons since March. We haven't been able to go into people's homes. So there's been a lot of help given over the phone. In the first 3 months of lockdown, there'd been something like 1,200 phone calls made by the Irish Chaplaincy seniors team, staff and volunteers. So a lot of people have been getting called every week, so they've really appreciated that contact. We also initiated a really exciting new project called Keeping Connected, whereby we've been supplying people with pre-programmed electronic tablets. So a lot of people were saying, we really miss the Mass. So they're able to just click, press something press an icon, and they'll get to Mass wherever they want to. Some people have been going, virtually to Mass in Ireland. People can access their favourite Irish radio station, and then, press another icon, and they can have a face-to-face, video call with one of the seniors team. So that's been a great way of helping people, literally to keep connected at a time when we can't do face-to-face visits, and and they're probably not going to be starting again in this side of Christmas, I wouldn't have thought, realistically.
Right. Now, many of our guests have helped us to remain upbeat with the optimism about coming out the other side. And the Irish Chaplaincy mission statement is looking ahead with hope. Can you outline some of the previous events you've organised?
Yeah, we normally do a St. Bridget's concert. So that was the last shall we say, live event we did on January the 31st at St James's Church, Piccadilly. And it's hard to believe now, but there were 400 people in the church. We got a host of really talented performers together. We had 43 members of the London Celtic Youth Orchestra. We had the London the Irish Elders Choir performing. Lots of great musicians. We had Ambassador O'Neill in attendance. We had Bishop Paul McAleenan of Westminster Diocese. Absolutely wonderful evening. Really good, bringing together of people and generations. So as I say, since then it's all kind of should we say virtual. This week we're running a virtual retreat. So we're doing a summer retreat via Zoom conference. So that's just started this morning. So there's a Zoom conference each morning. I think we're all having to be creative, about how we bring people together these days, and it's good. It's a good opportunity to try new things. And I think some of the new things we're trying, like supplying people with the electronic tablets, they're things which will they might outlast the COVID crisis. And we've also been helping prisoners in new and innovative ways. So we've managed to get a bit of extra funding to supply in-cell resources for people, books, CDs, colouring. And can I give you a quote? We had a lovely letter from a woman in prison last week, and she wrote to us. So one of the team, Eleanor, had prepared a special pack for women. It went out to 103 Irish women in prison in England and Wales. And she wrote last week, "The colouring book is so lovely, means so much, made me cry. I love the felt tips, also really helps me with mental health side." So people have been really touched by, these resources we've sent at a time when some prisoners are spending 23 and a half hours a day in their cells. There are no family visits, no activities, no education, no work. So we've been responding as best we can. We've been keeping in touch via letter, via email a prisoner. And as I say, we've managed to keep in touch with the elderly Irish we support as well. And, doing the best we can to help people. Many people who were lonely even before coronavirus came along and are, possibly even more isolated now.
Now, speaking of events, Eddie, I have heard on the grapevine that you're a man of many talents who can be relied on to lead a mighty session, singing a few Irish songs, playing the guitar with the Black Velvet Band, a party piece.
Where did you hear that, Jerry?
You'd be amazed, my sources.
I do. I've had the absolute pleasure and privilege of been performing in prisons sometimes. So I've done some gigs to travellers in prison, and that's just been wonderful. I mean, it was such an enjoyable gig. And the guys were so appreciative. And I do concerts in care homes sometimes, so I'm really missing that. I did a couple of recordings that I've kind of shared with some of the care homes that I used to go into in person, and I'm really one of the things I'll be very happy to do again is actually be able to visit in person, whether that's into a prison with our guys who would be going in very regularly, and into care homes. Again, a lot of the team at the Chaplaincy, in a normal week, they'd be doing lots of the face-to-face visiting. I mean, they've been doing lots of other things, and it's absolutely fantastic how people have responded, during this crisis.
I believe. I believe it. I was just going to say, I believe you also sing in French too.
Where on earth did you hear that? Yeah, I do. I've no idea how you know that, but yeah.
Yes, well done. Yeah, well done. I have a way of finding out incredible information on people. I really do. and Korean on special occasions. Right. Well done. Well done.
There's a song I do with my wife. That's her party piece that I help her with.
Excellent. Now, returning to the Irish Chaplaincy, presumably input is welcomed in the form of donations and also voluntary help.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're very reliant on donations. For fundraising, we're doing okay, but it's a constant, really, job to to keep the funds coming in, because at the end of the day, we can't do a lot if we haven't got money. So no, always donations always welcome. New volunteers always welcome. If we can help people in any way, if you're Irish or of Irish heritage, we'd love to hear from you. And we help people in a whole variety of ways. We're going into prisons and the homes of isolated elderly, but we're here to provide help and advice of an Irish specific nature to anybody really, and to help in any way that we can. So always happy to hear from people.
Excellent. Now, we look forward to brighter times ahead. Meanwhile, Eddie, you continue to offer vital support to those excluded, vulnerable and isolated Irish people in Britain. Although your offices are closed, you're responding to phone messages and emails during office hours. Your telephone number is 020 7482 5528. Email is admin@irishchaplaincy.org.uk. Website irishchaplaincy.org.uk. Now, all those details are on the homepage of our website, irishradio.org. Now, there are statistics giving the scale of the work of the Irish Chaplaincy. Annually, you support over 800 Irish prisoners, 300 families of prisoners, 300 travellers imprisoned in England and Wales, together with almost 200 elderly Irish living alone in London. Eddie, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to give us a useful overview of the excellent services of the Irish Chaplaincy. Long may your endeavours continue.
Thank you so much, Jerry. It's been a pleasure.